Hello and welcome to Ref Academy stream. My name is Maxim from Ref Academy, and I will show you the second part of this tutorial is how to create the ordering API. So we have created the database in the previous one, and now we're going to look on how can we make an API which allows us to place an order. There's a simple CRUD APIs like getting restaurants and getting products. They're quite simple to do, so when you understand how to do the more complicated ones, it will be pretty simple for you to do the easy ones. So for the order, what we need, and well, the thing is, for the order, what we need is we need the menus, the restaurants to be defined, because when we place the order, we want to make sure that we're referencing the right restaurant, and we're also referencing the product which exists. So what I did is I created these repls here, so you don't need to see me typing, and each one of them is just create specific thing. So whenever you want to create a thing in the database, you just call dbset, and we just pass the value that we want. So we want the name, location, delivery charge, we generate random key, and we say this is a new restaurant. So that creates a new restaurant with that key. Then we can grab that restaurant from the database. So we literally grab all the restaurants. And that little thing here, which looks like a fancy arrow, it essentially means take whatever is returned from here and pass it to this next function. So this returns all the restaurants. We grab all the keys, and then we just grab the first one. And that's the sample restaurant we use, and then we just create a sample product. So we tag it with a line stack, we set some price, we generate the key, and we set it as a menu. And we can actually use the last REPL to get that product. So let's just run the last one, which doesn't produce any side effects, and that returns to us that product ID. So now we are ready to actually try to place an order, because that's our API going to need to check all of those things. So let's make sure that we have it in place. So the first thing is what I usually do in Dark is I start with 4.4, which means that we actually start with making a request. So to make a request in Dark, I'm going to use PO. You can use something like Postman, which is a similar tool, which essentially allows you to create your JSON structure and send an HTTP request. If you're not familiar with this, then use anything you like. You can use fetch, you can call directly from your mobile application. It doesn't really matter what you make a request with. So I'll make a request. It gives me 4.4 row, now no row found, which is expected. And now if I open here, I will be able to actually see 4.4. And here's the time when it doesn't work. So when it doesn't work, sometimes it just needs to refresh. Usually you would see it here, so like quite often, if I do post, it should appear in 4.4, but for this scenario it doesn't. So even if it doesn't appear, let's just create a new method. So what we do is we create a post method, and we say it's HTTP handler, it's post, and we're going to call it orders. And the reason I use post here is because if we use get, that can be cached by a browser or a CDN or something like this. So whenever you're creating something, you want to use post. That's kind of a convention in HTTP world on the internet. So just remember that if you want to update things, you use put, and if you want to delete things, you use delete. So you'll see here that instead of post, you can choose delete, or you can choose put. Okay, so what we can do now, if I choose post and I press enter there, I'm going to try to call this again. Now we're getting 500. But what I'm getting now is actually, I get my whole request body. So I don't need to guess and try to remember what it looks like. I can actually type request.body, and I can see the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this into a variable. So I just press the shortcut Alt-X. To extract variable, and we're going to call it body, and we're going to create the data that we need for our order. So that's the syntax is essentially like a map. If you're from Flutter, or if you're coming from JavaScript, that's a simple object I'm creating. So I don't remember what I need to do for the order. So let's just start from the database. So I'm going to say I'm going to create an order, and I'm probably going to generate some key here, but for values, I'm going to do something else. So the values are here. So let's go one by one. So the simple one is customer, and let's see what we have inside the body. Body already has the customer, it has first name and the last name. But maybe I want to call it like actually first name and the last name. I like to be explicit in my backend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say first name, grab the body customer, grab the first F name, and then the last name, body the customer, last name, L name. So you can remap, you can change anything you want. It's up to you. Just make sure that your backend has a consistent schema. So it's the same. You don't change it for every request. So now we have destination, which looks good. I think that's what we can just put in the destination. We have a time, which is going to be the date time now, which is just the date now function. We have destination. I think we have all of it. So now we just need the items. And when you do ordering, one of the biggest mistakes you can do is just save directly the product ID, and that's it. Because when you go back in time and you're looking at some order, and let's say the product price changed, then you have no clue what it was at the time when they purchased. So maybe if the product price changed and then the customer gets delivered the product, they get quite surprised to see on the receipt a different or wrong price printed. So we want to make sure is that we capture the price that they have for the product. But in our body, we only, press the wrong button. In our body, the front end only sends us the product ID. So what do we do? For that, we can use a handy method called list map. And what list map allows us to do is we give it a list, which is our body.line items. And then for every element of the list, it's going to allow us to do anything practically we want with it. So what we want to do is we want to get a product. So I'm just going to, like whenever you want to create a variable, just do let. So I'm going to create a product here. And I'm going to grab it from, if I use get, this is just like a key. And the key is this value product ID. So we have product ID, and we have a thing we call it menu, yes. So if you, this is the one of the cool thing about Dark is that you wrote this and you're like, I don't know if this works or not. You can just press this little button here, and we'll actually tell you with not there's some fake data, with the real data we just submitted via POL, Postman, whatever you use. Did they get the product? And yes, they did get the product it needs. So you can see the sample product price, restaurant ID, and tags. So now I can say, okay, so let's see if we can grab the price from there, which is product.price. We can grab product name probably. And let's say I want to capture the total for just for simplicity's sake. So there is product price. I multiply it by, I think there's multiple multiplications there, by the value of the quantity. Yeah, actually that did work. So quantity is 3 and the price is 12.5. So if we look, instead of getting total is an error at float, but it only we use float multiply. So it actually gives us this nice handy error saying that we're using the wrong functions. So we need to use float multiply instead of what I've used. So the product dot price multiply with the value dot quantity. Now the total should be happy, hopefully. Full multiply is called with the wrong parameter. Actual value is 3. So for some reason when we send it, and let's check our quantity, this is a string. So this thing is a bit wrong. but this is indicating to us something that the user might be sending to us, something we don't expect. So what we do? So what we can do here is we kind of can validate the input. Right here we can create like a function which is going to go and check for all the inputs. And that's one of the things which when I know for sure that this is the API that I want, I'm going to do it in this sample. I'm just going to go and change this guy to be a number, send another request, and switch right here to a new request. And now our quantity is 3 as it needs to be. And if we look at, so 3 is actually still not working because number 3 is an integer. So guess what? We can convert this guy to float. And now it's happy. So if you haven't done any kind of like this float thing, it's same as I think in Dark in Flutter it's called double. So here we go. We have our total here, but we get a bit of complex logic, so intentionally. So now we have this line item, and we should be able to just initially use this data now to create a new order. So let's look at our data. So customer, we have destination, we have an items. So we'll press this. It tells us, see, like this is the nice thing about that we forgot the restaurant ID. So let's make sure that we set the restaurant. And apparently, this is the thing I forgot in my JSON. So let's make sure that actually I have a front end sending it. And if front end doesn't send it, then you create a function which needs to verify that the front end is sending. But for now, I'm just gonna copy it here, send it again, and come back here, switch it. So you see, it's like if you're using mobile app for this, you just change whatever you need to mobile app and try to send another order, and then you see, okay, now I get a restaurant here. So instantly the restaurant appears here, and we can try this function again. And boom, I think we got an order created. So what we can do is we can create another REPL. Let's see, get order, new REPL, TP get all, and we get the orders. And let's see if we get any. Awesome. So this is our first order with time we set, the items, we did some remapping, we calculated the total, and that's in a gist how you create an order API. It's quite simple. So it doesn't have the validation, doesn't have payment and all these other things, but that's all of this you add as your requirement grow. And this was to show you how very simple it is to do this whole backend, essentially the database and the functions in Dark. As you can see, it all fits in just one screen. Actually, this is all the code that you need to do a very simple backend. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and follow our other videos on our channel.